Stevens. One handy. Contact him in case you no. Okay.
Nice. And our heads in shame.
Yes, we all feel the shame.
That one is up.
That's good.
Comes.
Shouldn't where you left off.
Look, someone came. Hurrah! Oh man, guess I really do not understand how to use YouTube Live. I thought I did. Oh, that is actually starting.
Where's your charger? I'll go grab it.
Yeah, it's inside. I don't know if there's a place to plug it in here though. We can always move to a different location if we have to.
Yeah, there's it.
Perfect.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, it's on the table. So we were talking about things that we had things that had challenged us or whatever about the podcast. Another thing is there anything? Oh, there's no one there anymore. Hello. It's okay. That's okay. We can just talk about ourselves. And that is there anything that that you heard in the podcast that you disagreed with?
Good, brave question.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That was my fault. I'm very sorry. I
So
spilled
no.
ginger beer. Is there anything I should do to clean that up? Here, I'll use my hoodie.
No, don't use your hoodie.
Yeah, it's fine. I have another jacket. Could you open? Is my phone over? No, my phone's here. I'll pull up the chat in case, or so you can see it all in one window. Addison's lurking. She said confidently.
Probably so many changes. I
Yeah.
could understand why it'd be too much to keep up with.
Yeah, don't take this as a reflection of community interest.
No. Yeah, but it pains me because that link was even in the podcast episode and everything like that.
Right.
Wow, that's so frustrating.
Yeah, the original one. Yeah, YouTube is just really ridiculously confusing.
I know, like things that should be just so incredibly simple, they make really convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's intentional or just bad design.
This is one. Interesting. It says one person's here.
Yeah.
Oh, hi! Someone's here. Huzzah! Welcome. So sorry, guys, about all the technical issues. I thought I knew how to do this, and I guess I didn't. Oh, 3 people. Welcome. So what we wanted to talk about next is there anything in the podcast that you heard or something that someone said, even something I said, that you disagreed with? Because I might bring up some thinking, but
I guess I don't know. Do you count your episode 0 as part of the podcast? That was.
Oh, I mean, sure. So that's the one that
that's-
only patrons get to hear.
Is it
okay,
with Luna or is it a different one?
So I don't know. Is that spoilers because it's
Okay, do what you want.
I don't know. I
can't really remember what it was. Oh, that one
that
was
was
one.
the fan fiction.
Fan fiction, right? Yeah.
So, not to knock on fan fiction. I enjoy I
Yes.
enjoy fan fiction, but I think that there's something in the original author's intent that I can't remember exactly what it was that I disagreed with. There was a statement somewhere, but basically the original author of a work has an intent or a theme or a message, or maybe not, but if they do, then if you change aspects because it was telling a different story or making switching genders with the characters or stuff like that, changing things and that's I think that's cool to explore, but I think if you take away core elements that are essential to the author's original purpose for the story, that's like it is different.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
is not really saying anything now that I come to think of it.
It's another. I mean, at that point, it is another work.
Yes.
So I guess maybe your objection is that like it wouldn't be a continuation of it, or like that I don't know.
I guess some people see fan fiction as just like, oh, it's just a way for other people. We're just adding to the same story and we're just keeping the story going. But like you're arguing, no, it is at that point an entirely different story because all of the author's subconscious intentions and themes
or
and stuff,
conscious
were never going to be totally replicated in the fan fiction.
Yeah, like if you told a Star Wars story where the Empire is the good guys, like that's interesting and worth exploring and everything, but it is not the same thing as
it's another story at that point.
Yeah, because
it's no longer Star Wars.
Yeah. I don't know.
I agree.
Thank you. Someone just said they had to leave, but they want to say congratulations. Thank you so much. Oh, you're so nice. Thank you. Misty 306. Thank you.
Oh, that's so sweet of her.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. And then Stephen Esquire is saying something about George R. R. Martin has a bit of on YouTube about the two types of fan fiction, one that adds and one that changes. Interesting.
Is Martin against either type of fan fiction? Like, was he saying like one is good and one is bad, or just describing the difference?
Yeah, there's one thing that something that I disagree with
yourself.
Not with myself. It's more of a theme. I think it's come up multiple times in different people, and I've just been kind of like thinking about it a lot myself. And you chatted on Twitter before, but now you have a YouTube channel. I don't know who this is, Misty. You must have a different name somewhere else because I'm not sure. Oh, we Twitter no. Oh wait, I think I know who. I think I know who that is.
Hesitantly.
Oh, okay, yes. Sorry about that. Oh, thank you. It's so nice. Yeah. So there's this idea about like, okay, well, what's the official term people use for it? Like writing in your lane, basically. Oh wait, let me see what.
All for the adding kind, but not the changing.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I'm gonna look for that.
Okay. And yeah, it's a good delivery about how one is a huge respect and love for the author, the other is a form of disrespect. So I guess like the latter is maybe what annoys you.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But yeah, so like the idea of like writing in one's lanes, it's a very complicated thing, but I know that has come up before. And when I remember one author brought it up, and I was just kind of like, I didn't push back because I was like, I mean, that's not really my interview style anyway. I don't really like to push on people, but also it was just kind of like, okay, I didn't think about that. I feel like, in my opinion, just to like put it real simply, I think anyone can write anything. It's just not necessarily anyone can write anything really well. So if you're writing something that isn't your own experience, it's not going to have the same authenticity that someone writing from their own experience has. And so I think we can value that, and we can, on the pedestal of like, the quality, we would elevate someone writing from their own experience just naturally. I mean, not just like, oh, it's going to have details that like other people wouldn't think of, but to say that like you can't write about it, it's really, because it's so like, because those lanes, the way they're drawn are so messy, especially if you talk about, say, a cultural or like an ethnic line or something. What about someone when they're biracial, or they have multiple cultural experiences because of their own background, and it becomes really weird, and like it's like I don't really like that, because I feel like it's arbitrary. It's like an arbitrary rule. So I think you can write anything, just be respectful, and then if you're not respectful, people won't really like it anyway. So it's kind of a craft issue to me, and I think it gets moralized, where it's like it's wrong to write from someone else's experience, and I think it's just that maybe you won't write it that well, but you can write it really well. It just won't be as good. And some people, I think, have done that very well if they really research and listen. And so
furthermore, I think the whole I've heard as write what you know, like stay in or this is what I have experienced, so I can write about it, that kind of thing. That philosophy, it kind of also shuts down the idea of like learning more about other things. Like if I wanted to write African science fiction or whatever, then if I just think, oh, right, well, then I'm never even gonna like go learn about that at all. But if instead I think, oh, I could try that. I might be bad at it, but I should give it a try. Then I'll go and learn and read, and that seems like a better perspective.
Yeah, and I feel like the whole one of the most fundamental concepts about fiction really is this idea of putting yourself in someone else's shoes. That's the experience that the reader has, and it can also be the experience that the writer has when you're creating something that is different, and it helps you to really understand how different people think and live and whatnot, and that's a really good mental exercise. It's actually, I think it's a little bit othering when you say that, like, oh, you can't write about these other people. It makes them be these like other,
This
like out
alien, unknowable.
yeah, like, and it's like, actually we're not that different. It is, but just that it's very easy for us to misunderstand each other because like cultural things are different, but then on a human level we're all the same, right? So right, so it's just and it's also like certain experiences that have certain nuances. It's like, yeah, maybe you won't get all the nuances, but okay. Okay.
Yeah. No one is ever going to perfectly get every nuance,
Right.
even if they grew up in that culture. So
Yeah, and it's very subjective, and but you'll still you'll learn a lot about it from the experience. So.
For sure.
Yeah. For perhaps TW like fashion. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Controversy and fashion. He said this much earlier, but I didn't know how it connected to what we're talking about.
Oh no, I think I do. I'm not totally sure, but I assume that that's because probably that kind of stay in your lane thing has happened in other industries as well, like people saying you can't use certain patterns.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, like I could see that. I think that's happened before.
Well, that happens in all kinds of art, I guess. Like Andy Warhol was like, painting doesn't have to be what everybody thinks painting is, and yeah,
and it's like, yeah, I mean, sure, like
yeah,
and some people wear things even if it's
like
and
the
it's
leggings.
Yeah, and I mean, there's obviously I think when we talk about things like cultural appropriation, I think it's a worthwhile conversation because I do think it's possible to appropriate something in a way that's really disrespectful, where like you take some sort of a symbol or something from someone's culture that's very sacred and it's very specific, like you use it in prayers, and then someone takes it and they commodify it. Okay, that's really disrespectful, right? So I think that's good that we have this conversation, but I feel like we also take it all in like this other extreme that isn't good, because then it's like kind of othering, and it ignores the fact that like so much of art is a lot of like exchange of ideas and things like that, and that's actually healthy. So
Collaborative.
Yeah. Let's see. Are there any? So since the third season is going to start up, are there any authors or topics that you guys would like to see me cover? Any things that I haven't talked about that you think, or any people that you think it'd be cool for me to reach out? Obviously, I can't promise that they'll come on the show.
Martin.
Well, he's not a woman, unfortunately.
Well, okay, yeah, that's strike one.
But yeah, and I can at least try. So if anyone has any suggestions or requests, B.E. Schwab in last season was a request from a watcher.
Really?
Yeah, so that happened largely because someone asked.
That's
and I was like,
cool.
well, I don't think I would have tried except that someone said. So well,
I'm still pushing for the Station 11 author, Emily St. John, but you haven't even read the book yet, so she might not be your style.
You keep trying to get me.
I do keep trying very determinedly.
I keep forgetting. I'm sorry. It's not like
you're a busy person.
I'm not intentionally not reading it. It's just like, oh, shiny book, new shiny book, and then I keep forgetting.
I do the same, so I'm not judging, but I am going to keep reminding you.
Well,
sometimes at 3 a.m. I'll give you a call.
Oh God.
Jackson! You probably could, but he's not female.
That's funny. So my brother is joking again, as he always does, because William Thomas Batson was like my favorite author when I was 12, 13, 14, thereabouts. He was the one that introduced me basically to fantasy, so I was very big fan. And then I met him in person, and I realized he was actually a human being. I was like, oh wow,
I could be him.
He's just a normal person, and that was good. That killed the whole like celebrity awe. No, I don't really have that anymore. I realized everyone's just people. Yeah. Oh my God, it's actually him. And then, it was him.
There he is.
There he was.
He sneezes like me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe people don't have any suggestions to that, but feel free to. Also, and I forgot to mention this. I mean, we said this at the beginning, but I'll say it again. You guys also can ask us questions if you have any questions for any of us. You can do that, and we'll answer. Seems like a good reason to have in the podcast. If he introduced you to fantasy, yes. Except, and I keep running into this. I keep wanting to have people on, but then I have this set. It's females in fantasy. It's women writing about female characters. So that was the parameters I set. So if I
You can
hadn't
make
set
a
those
second
parameters,
spin-off podcast for the male authors.
maybe, or maybe I've been thinking about doing other. I don't know. I'm thinking about starting some sort of like a YouTube channel about things because I feel like there's so many other topics I want to talk about
For sure.
and females in fantasy is just one. He had a ponytail.
He's basically
He
female.
did have a ponytail. You are right, Addison.
Make a compelling
But
point.
Addison,
Yeah.
I have to remind you, Addison, that when you were around 13, you also had really long hair. So I
I thought
guess
you were gonna say a ponytail. And I
not a
was amazed,
ponytail,
'cause
but
I didn't see that.
so I should probably have you on my podcast too. What's an IP that you want to be like but can't, and why? What's an IP? What does he mean by IP? Does anyone know what that means? Can you
IP
clarify?
address?
Can you clarify what you mean by
Yeah.
IP?
I would know internet protocol or
Important-
intellectual property. So
Important person.
Oh, important person.
Maybe. I don't know.
That's a
Probably
really good
not.
question. What's an important person that you want to like? Oh, that I want to like but can't, and why?
I think
I would gladly come on your podcast. Thanks, Addison. Thanks.
What an honor.
Thanks.
Important person you want to like.
intellectual.
Oh.
Second one.
Oh, okay.
What?
I'm gonna think about it for a second. I'm sure
That's-
there are some
So, like a story or
Marvel.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
that I want to like but can't, and why. Actually, both would be good.
Or an important person.
Well, I don't think this counts because I've only tried one. I only tried. So Brandon Sanderson is like one of the top fantasy writers, and he's very well loved. And I tried to read his recent, one of his recent books from the Stormlight Archives, and I just couldn't. It was like it's a huge book, and I love huge books. Okay, I love huge books, but I like huge books that bit of like movement to them, you know. And it was like I had read the equivalent of an entire book, and I was still only a percentage of the way through, and the plot hadn't started yet, and I couldn't.
Lost patience. Yeah.
I didn't care about any of the characters. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's so good. You just have to keep reading because everything builds up." And I'm sure they're right, but I also, it's like there are so many books I want to read. So I'm gonna try another Brandon Sanderson book later, but people say that you can appreciate the latter ones more if you've read his former ones. So I wanted to, so maybe I'll try again, but some other examples. Things that people I really want to like, but I feel like there are so many, but I can't come up with them. None of them are coming to
If
mind.
I want to like something, I fool myself into thinking I do like it. So there's nothing for me in that category of want to like but don't.
Okay.
Bring
Okay.
me 800 popsicles.
So we just have a new.
Any
I
flavor.
only carry 70.
Take my backpack. It's in the door. Yeah,
We
thanks.
got a new member of the party. Say hello, princess, to all the people online.
So derpy.
She's like, "Oh, why are you holding me?"
I don't understand.
Aww. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Do you have any things like that? Like something that you
No, I
wish you could like?
I feel like most of the things that I've tried I've liked.
Yeah.
So-
Or you stopped reading them and so you never gave them.
Yeah, but like Station 11. Is that
Yeah,
what you're thinking of?
yeah, very bitterly. Yeah.
But I mean, like I guess that is an idea. Yeah, that's like just a standalone.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not as wide ranging.
Is this one yours?
That is yours. Mine's on the ground.
Okay.
Where it belongs.
You know, I might think about that some more and see if any more things come up. I feel like there was something recently that came out that was like really big. I can't remember what it was, so I'll just.
Twilight.
I don't have a desire to like that.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
Deal breakers.
Although, a side note on that, there is a kind of weird phenomenon with that where I feel like a lot of people it became trendy to hate on it,
Mhm.
and a lot of people were hating on it and they didn't really know why they were hating on it.
Yeah.
And I know someone who like was a fan or is a fan, I suppose, and it really annoyed her. She was like,
Aw.
people would just be like, "Oh, I hate it," and she's like, "But why? Why do you hate it? Like, do you know like what the reasons are that you should hate it? Because if you do, that's valid. Sure, like you can not appreciate it." But then she felt like people would just kind of judge her for like no reason, just because it was like trendy to not like it.
Like Guy Fieri and Nickelback and
It's just like
Yeah.
people just following the crowd. They're like, "Okay, let's hate this. We all hate this."
yeah.
And I was like, and I read her article about that. I was like, I guess I had done the same thing. I didn't even realize. But it's also just not really my kind of story. So, we have a new person that arrived. Totally new person. So you can ask us questions. We'll answer them. We're also they just left. I think I scared them away. But and then we're also doing the
Steven
discussion.
wonders about deal breakers, presumably in like whether you like a story or not, or an IP or not.
Some deal breakers. I think
That's a good question.
I would say, so for me, some deal breakers, there are often exceptions. One thing that I really cannot stand is whenever there's like a fantasy thing that just they stop and they just like tell you about the world and things that I don't really care about, because I'm really more character driven in story. I want the story to kind of move at a good pace. And if they're just like, oh, in the history of this town, the way that they traded their wares, I'm like, I don't care. But then I have an exception to that, and that would be The Lies of Locke Lamora, which is an excellent book. But it does do that, and it super annoys me. In between chapters, he'll just like stop and world build, and I'm like, dude, like I don't care. Like, I really don't care. I mean, that's cool that you have all this world building, but it doesn't. I would like to not know that right now. Maybe put it on a website or put it in the index. Like, I don't.
Fair enough.
Yeah. You guys have any deal breakers?
Real quick, I guess for you that a likable protagonist is a deal breaker
Yeah.
because you didn't like their Cormorant. But maybe I misunderstood why you didn't
Oh,
like it.
I mean, that's complicated. It totally depends.
But
You can indoctrinate everyone. You should read Trader
Read
Barrow.
Trader Barrow Cormorant. It's a great book.
Yeah, so she got me to read it, and I had mixed feelings about the book. So,
But I think it's great. I have no mixed feelings.
I think it's great. I think it is great literature. It just
But you
wasn't
didn't
really for me.
enjoy it particularly. That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Deal breakers for you, Stephen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's put it back to you or anyone
Spin
else
it
in
around.
there. Yes. What are some deal breakers for you? Oh, this chat is almost over. Let's see if I can. Anything else? Oh, okay. Here's a fun one. Actually, I feel like Addison might have opinions on this, but I don't know. There's like this thing that I wrote like a Twitter thread and I haven't posted it yet. One of these days I will.
Oh.
But it's I've just been busy. But it's the idea of like this is, I don't know how better to describe it, but this is just the terminology I'm using for now. It's basically like the difference between a female hero and a hero that happens to be female. And the former super annoys me. The latter is all that I want. So basically it's like, and it happens a lot where you have like a movie, I'm not gonna name any names, but you know, Captain Marvel. And
Ouch, shots fired.
Well, some sort of a story where it's just like the focus with the female character is so much on the fact that she's a female character. It's like, look at me, I'm a female character.
How amazing.
I'm so strong. And I'm like, can you stop? For some reason, it just really annoys me. But that's a super subjective thing, because I think it's doing something that is helpful for some people that I don't particularly need. Like I'm not a very person that really cares what people think. I'm not like trying to prove myself that much, but I do think I was that way more as a teenager. So maybe then I would have felt differently.
The movie might have helped younger you.
Yeah,
more
exactly.
So like mighty too.
So I think the kind of like empowering female characters, I think it definitely serves a role, because obviously there are, I think, a lot of girls that kind of need to have that affirmation in that sense of like, oh yeah, I can be strong too. But maybe it's just a sign that like I've grown or something. I don't know. To me, it's just kind of annoying and cringy. I'm like, I just want to have a female character that does the stuff. I don't really want to focus on the fact that like, oh, she's a strong female character, like, yeah. And a lot of recent media does that, because I feel like they're kind of trying to pander to a certain crowd and be like, hey, look at us, look, we're so progressive. We need this progressive female character. And I'm like, stop with the virtue signaling. Can you just tell a good story, for crying out loud? Does that make sense? Like the terminology isn't really very good, but you kind of know the difference that I'm describing. Yeah, and I'm not trying to like piss on Captain Marvel. It's a perfectly fun film, but it was that kind of a character, and so like I enjoyed the movie, but by the end I was a little bit I kind of felt a little up against the wall a little bit when I was watching it. Yeah, a little bit, kind of like, okay, like. I feel like you're proving something, and again, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Obviously, plenty of people felt differently. I really did really well in the box office, but just a random opinion for what it's worth.
So what are some quantifiable differences?
Like where's the line?
It is really hard to describe that. It's more just like I know it when I see it.
It's a subjective thing.
It totally is subjective. Yeah, it's totally just like a personal thing. Often the weak mane is sad. The thing that makes me really angry tends to be poorly thought out scientific implications. Those are the deal breakers. Nerdy aspect of world building, I guess. Yeah, I can imagine that. Like if you're knowledgeable about something and then the people aren't, that can be super annoying. Yeah. I've had that happen in certain things that knowledgeable about. Well, every time I start learning more about like medieval warfare and stuff and like how it actually works, and then I go and watch a movie and I'm like,
Facepalm.
knowledge, the curse of knowledge. That's maybe another reason this has been. Yeah. What is your favorite hero that happens to be female? Good question, Addison.
It's a big question.
Baru Cormorant.
Nailed it. High five, babe. High five.
Oh, I don't know what my top favorite is, but one of my favorites is definitely Ripley. Ripley from the Alien franchise. I just think she's great. I wouldn't change anything about her at all. But for some reason, what is that? 80s, late 80s. There were like a lot of great characters then. Even though a lot of the movies were kind of weird and cringy, but like I can't disrespect your characters' decisions if they don't make sense.
Yes,
And
stories where the
yeah.
characters are just at the whim of the plot and writers. Those are so annoying.
Yeah. Now, who is your favorite female?
Different question.
Addison. I don't know if I do because I don't tend to like those characters. I can't. See, these are the ones I can't tell if Addison's trolling me or asking a genuine question.
That's why I never interact with him, just on principle.
Well, just recently, I actually did like Captain Marvel. I liked the movie. It just kind of annoyed me a little bit. And so, oh my God, Princess, why are you panting? Yeah, I don't know. Any like final thoughts or like any questions you guys want to bring up or? Yeah, pretty much.
Don't think so.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for showing up for the party. I'm so sorry that this was like, we literally had 3 different links, a lot of technical difficulties. I'm just going to be all like, oh, it's not my fault. YouTube's annoying because I really do feel like the user interface for YouTube is very confusing.
Yeah, this was not her fault.
That we were all 3 of us putting our heads together.
Yeah.
Were confused. So YouTube, you should hire some better and user experience designers to change your creator studio. So anyway, yeah. Well,
Amen.
yes.
And on that note.
And on that note, happy 1 year, 2 seasons.
Clink invisible glasses.
Clink, yes.
Brandon, clink your invisible glasses.
Oh, clink with you guys. All right, well, see you around with episode 1 of season 3 in a little less than a month. Happy birthday, Addison says. Thanks. Bye, y'all.
Bye.